Hey, welcome. In this video, we are going to build a tool that can generate a QR code for a digital restaurant menu. You might have seen in some restaurants, they keep a QR codes on the table instead of, physical menus. So the good thing about these digital menus is that the hotels or, the restaurants, they don't need to maintain a physical copies of menus. Also, if there are multiple people sitting on the table, everyone can scan the same QR code and view the menu right on their phone. It's more convenient to both the customers as well as restaurants. One more benefit of having a digital menu at the restaurant is it's hygienic, as the customers are using their own devices instead of touching shared menus. Now, using Python and Django, we can create a tool that generates a unique QR code for any restaurant's menu. I'll walk you through the entire process step by step from scratch so you can build this tool yourself. Let's get started. So first of all, I'll start with creating a new folder for this project. So I'll name it as QR code Django. Okay, QR code Django. I'll just keep it in my folder. So I'll open this with my VS Code editor. Okay. All right. So we are going to start from scratch. Okay. So there is nothing I have built off camera. So everything I'll show you from here. Okay. So from this blank project. So right now I'm going to create a new terminal. So before you make this project, you should have a basic knowledge of Django and Python. Okay. So if you don't know anything about Django, I would say go to my YouTube channel or go to ratank.com. There are some free courses about Django. Okay. So you can just learn it and then come back to build this project. Okay. So that is actually a prerequisite for this, for building this project. All right. With that said, first thing I want to create a virtual environment. So I'll say Python 3 -m venv env Python -m venv env. Okay. So this is how we create the virtual environment, and I will just say source env bin activate. Okay. Source env bin activate. So this is for Mac users, and if you're using Windows, you'd say source env / scripts with the capital S / activate. Okay. So for the Mac, this is the command, source env bin activate. Okay. Now my virtual environment is activated, and if you don't know what is virtual environment, you can click on the I button and see the watch that video, so you will understand everything about it. So once the environment is activated, you have to install Django. Okay. So simply say pip install Django. So this will actually install the latest version of Django, and if it is asking you to upgrade your pip, just go ahead and upgrade it using this command. Okay, using this command. All right, now that Django is installed, and you can also see whether it is installed or not simply by just hitting pip freeze. You see Django 5.1.3 is installed. All right, so let me clear it. Okay, now I will say Django admin start project. Django admin start project. My project name will be Django QR. Okay, Django QR, and I will just add one dot here so that okay, I'm sorry, I cannot use the hyphen here. I should use underscore here. The dot is because the project will be created on the root directory, that's why. Okay. So now Django QR project is created, and next thing, now let's run python manage.py run server, python manage.py run server, and you have 18 unapplied migrations. You have to run that, but before that, I'll just close it. I'll just use this one, 127.0.0.1 8000. Okay, so this is the port number to run the Django project. So the installation is working, and the next thing that we need to do is just run a migrate command, python manage.py migrate. This is to create the Django's default table. We are not going to do anything with the super admin and everything, so that's why, but still we don't want to see this error, right? So that's why I just ran this migrate command. All right, let's run the run server again, run the project again. So we don't want to see this page. Our plan is to have a form. That form will actually take the restaurant name and the URL. Okay, so what URL it will take? It will actually take the, most probably it will take the Google Drive URL, something like this. Let me show you. For this project, I will give you this link also. But if you have your menu, you can simply use that link also. Okay, so this is actually the demo restaurant menu. Okay, I randomly created. So what we are going to do is we are actually going to provide this link and the restaurant name to our tool. So the tool will actually create a unique QR code. Okay, so that is the plan. Okay, so that's why we need to take the input, right? So what input? We need the restaurant name and we need to have a input field to take this URL. Okay, so that's why we need to set up the template. Okay, so let's go to our root directory, and in the root directory we'll create a new folder and call it templates. Okay, root directory, go to the root directory and create a templates folder. And once you create this templates folder, go to the settings.py and just inside this templates, go to DRS list, DIRS list, simply say templates. Simple. Okay, now that this templates will start working now. So right now we don't have any templates. That means we don't have any HTML files inside this templates, right? So before we create any HTML files, we'll first set up the URL pattern. So the URL pattern we need is path. So the home URL, this is actually the home URL. Okay, if there is nothing inside the quotation in the URL pattern, that means this is the one we are working on. Okay, I hope you know all those things. It's a basic thing. Okay, so views dot generate QR code, generate QR code, and we'll also set the name. The name will also be this one. Okay, so this view does not exist yet. This views file itself is does not exist, so that's why we'll have to create a new file inside the Django QR folder and call it views.py. So inside this views.py we'll actually make all the functions. Okay, so now that we have the views module, we will import it from dot import views, from dot import views. Okay, now there is no warning. Save it. Okay, so attribute error module Django QR dot views attribute generate QR does not exist. There's no attribute like this because this function does not exist. I'll simply copy it and create a new function here, define, and I'll say request. First thing I want to import, right? From Django dot shortcuts, import render. So this function will return a template, return render request, comma, the template name. We will create a new HTML file. So we will call it as what is the name of the URL pattern? This one, right? Generate QR code. So I'll simply copy that and we'll say HTML. Generate QR code dot HTML. So this is our template that we are going to create now. So just copy this HTML file name and go to your templates, new file, and just create this new file with the name generate QR code.html. Okay, let's as always we'll make the hello world. Now if you refresh this, you should see the hello world. So this means our templates integration is done. We have successfully integrated the template. Now we want the form, right? So how to create a form? Well, we will not write the HTML code line by line manually. So what we will do is we'll first use the HTML skeleton. Just simply write exclamation mark and tab. Okay, so this will give you the HTML skeleton. If it does not work in your code editor, what you can do is you can simply go to Google and say HTML boilerplate. Okay, HTML boilerplate. So here you will see the boilerplate code. Okay, so here you can see this is the very simple HTML boilerplate code. You can use this also. Okay, so the title I will change. The title I'll use is generate QR code. Okay, generate QR code for digital restaurant menu. Okay, now if you refresh, okay, so the page is, page body is blank, but the title is showing here. All right, next we want to add a Bootstrap support because we are going to use the Bootstrap form. Okay, because we don't want to write the CSS code manually. If you don't know Bootstrap, that's not a problem at all. Just follow along with me. I will show you step by step where we can add the support, support of Bootstrap. Simply go to Google and say Bootstrap CDN, right? Bootstrap CDN, and in the getbootstrap.com, just scroll down and you will see the include via CDN, right? You have to include these two. One is script and another one is the link. Okay, so we'll simply copy this and just above this head, okay, just above this head, paste it, and I will name it as Bootstrap CSS CDN. Okay, so this is our Bootstrap CDN, CSS CDN. So this will give us all the style sheets for our project. Okay, so that we don't have to write the CSS code manually. And this one, I'll say Bootstrap JS CDN. I think we don't need this, but we'll see. We'll use it. We usually use both of these for our projects because of course JavaScript is needed, right? Okay, so this one is giving us a bootstrap.min.css and bootstrap.bundledmin.js. Now that we have the Bootstrap support, we can use any Bootstrap classes in our project. So first thing, we want to create the new bar, something like this, right? So simply, if you're new to Bootstrap, right, go to Bootstrap docs. There is a lot of thing here. Okay, there's a lot of thing here. I can simply write nav, right? So nav bar, right? Simply you can simply copy this kind of code and put it here. Okay, put into your project here. So the Bootstrap, the nav bar will be shown on your website, but I don't want to do that. I'll just write the minimal code. I'll use the tag nav. Okay, I'll use the nav tag, nav with the class. I will add some classes here. So I'll add the nav bar class and nav bar expand -lg and bg body tertiary. Okay, so nav bar expand lg, bg body tertiary. Inside the nav bar, I'll create a div with the class container. And then I'll create an a tag and say generate QR code. Okay, generate QR code. All right. So for this a tag, I will add navbar brand. Okay, save it and refresh. And you can see this also has a little bit of gray navbar background, right? So this is how we create the navbar. So next we want to create a form to accept the restaurant name and the URL. So to create a form, I'm going to use the Django form. Okay, so there are two ways. You can either use simple HTML form, otherwise you can also use the Django form. Okay, so because we are using Django to build this tool, we will use the Django forms. Okay, so to create a Django form, you simply have to go to this Django, Django Kiva project, create a new file and simply say forms.py. So in the forms.py, we first need to import the form. So this come from Django import forms. There is another kind of form which is our Django model form, but we are, I'm just using forms. Okay, so because we are not working on the models, right? We are simply we are simply creating two fields. All right, so I'll say class QR code form. So this class will take forms.form. Okay, so forms.form, and after that we will create the two fields. First one is a restaurant name. Restaurant underscore name is equal to forms dot char field. Forms dot char field. Max length we will set to maybe 50. Okay, max length will be 50. And similarly, we will also need one more field, that is our URL. Okay, so this is the input field where we want to put the Google Drive or the menu URL. Okay, so I'll say forms dot, this time I'm going to use the URL field. Okay, forms dot URL field, because I'm going to accept the URL. Max length, let's set it to 200, and also we'll set the label. Label will be menu URL. Okay, label will be menu URL. So it's up to you. It is just customized label. And for this restaurant name also we will set the label. So label is equal to, maybe we'll say restaurant name. Okay, restaurant name and the menu URL. Let's save it. And now we want to render this form inside this home page, right? So let's go to our views.py. First of all, we have to import it, right? From .forms, import the form name is QR code form, right? QR code form. And now let's say, form is equal to QR code form. Just initialize this, and we'll put this form inside a context. Okay, inside a context dictionary, we'll say form colon form. Okay, form colon form. Now at this point you can just pass this context. Okay, not continue, it is context. Just pass this context inside a generate QR code.html. Okay, save this file and save this forms.py also. And now we have the form. Okay, we have the access to this form, which has the two fields. Okay, one is character field and another one is the URL field. Okay, restaurant name and URL. So we have this access inside our generate QR code.html. Okay, so once we are done with this name, we'll say QR code form. Okay, so here we'll say, we'll simply open one form, and form action will set later, but the method we'll have to set. Okay, before we forget, we'll set it to post method. Okay, whenever you use post method, as you know, in Django we have to pass the CSRF token. Okay, after that we will render the form. Okay, we have form dot as p. As p means as paragraph. All right, now we need the button, right? What will the button say? Maybe we'll set this as generate QR code. Okay, generate QR code, and the button type is also important. Button type will be submit. Okay, the moment you click on this submit button, generate QR code button, this form will be submitted to the action URL. Okay, so we are going to set the action URL in a moment. And button class will set btn space btn primary we will set. Okay, btn space btn primary. Okay, at this point if you refresh, you see this is taking a proper CSS class from the Bootstrap, but these two things does not have any style sheets or style, right? So we'll fix that in a moment. Before that, we'll simply set the action. Okay, so action means what should happen when you submit this form, right? So that will be URL space the name of the URL. That means we want, the moment we click on this button, our post request should be, or I can say the form data should be submitted to this view, to this generate QR code view with the post request. Okay, so after that we'll take the input and we'll do other operation of generating the QR code. But this name we'll set first. What is the name of this action URL, right? This is the one, right? We want to submit the data, submit the input data to this view, right? So the name of this view is this generate QR code. I'll simply go here and set this one here, action. Okay, perfect. Now, one more thing, this style, right? So we don't want this form to be ugly like this. We can either use Django crispy form. Otherwise, you can also add some classes, because we already have the Bootstrap CDN, right? So we'll simply add some classes and, this form will look good. All right, to add the classes, where to add the classes, right? So this form is not directly coming from the HTML, right? So this is being rendered from the Django forms, right? So we have to customize this form a little bit so that we can, add some custom classes. So to add the custom classes to this form, we have to edit this field and add something called widgets. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll just put these attributes in a new line. Okay, so that it will be easy to read. Okay, just put a colon, and this time we want to add the widgets. Okay, widget is equal to forms dot text input. Okay, forms dot text input and attrs, this attribute. This is actually attributes. It's a a dictionary. So this attributes will be whatever attributes you want to add to this restaurant name field, you can add here. Okay, for example, I want to add the class attribute, right? So for the class attribute, I will add form control. So form control is one of the classes of Bootstrap. So this will give us the default classes that we that makes the form look good. Okay, so also, as I said, you can add any number of HTML attributes here. For example, placeholder, right? You can also add placeholder here. So what you want to, what this form should say here inside the, in the placeholder, maybe we'll say enter restaurant name. Enter restaurant name. Okay. Similarly, we will also, add the class to this. If you want to, save it and see, and you can see here, right? So of course this form is taking the full width, but we will fix that. But if you see this field and this field is a little bit different, right? So this is looking good and this one is not looking good. We'll fix that in a moment. Same thing we want to do for this URL also. Okay, so we'll just put it in a single, the new lines, and just make sure you put the comma here, otherwise you will get the error. I'll say widgets. Okay, widget is equal to forms dot not text field, not text input. This time we want to say URL input. Okay, URL input, because the Django form comes with the inbuilt form validations. Okay, so if you put this URL input, then automatically the form will be rendered with the input type URL. Okay, so this one will come with the input type text, but this one will use the input type URL. Okay, I will show that where you can see that. All right, so here I'll say attrs. So the attributes is equal to, open a dictionary, and again we'll say class colon form control, form hyphen control. Okay, and placeholder, what is the placeholder? Enter the URL of your online menu. Okay, so here you have to enter your maybe Google Drive menu. Okay, now if I refresh, you see this, right? So the form is looking a little bit good now. let me quickly show you what do I mean by these two things. Widget forms dot URL input and text input. You can see here, right? So this one is actually a type text, and this one, if you inspect here, this one is actually a type URL. Okay, so inside this one you must have to enter the URL itself. If you just put this one simple plain text, it is not going to work. It is, it is going to show you, please enter a URL, because that's actually a input type URL. Okay, so it's a basic validation that we'll put. Okay, so before we go further, we'll first add the width of this form. We'll actually cut this, we'll cut this whole form, and we'll create a div with the class container, and put this form here. Okay, put this form here, and to this container I will say style width maybe 600 pixel. Okay, width 600 pixel, and refresh. You can see here. Okay, so this is how you're going to get the form. And also I will add the class margin top 5. Okay, margin top 5, because I just want this to come a little bit down. And also I'll simply add the border 1 pixel solid, and D3 D3 D3. Okay, you can add any color. This is just a border color. Okay, so this D3 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 is actually a light color, so that's why I'm using it. And here you see I'll simply add one padding 30 pixel, refresh. And if you want, you can also add the border radius 10 pixel. Enough. Okay, so this is enough for now. Now we want to actually click on this generate QR button, and the moment you click on the generate QR button, the form will be submitted to our views.py. Okay, views.py. So from here we want to accept the data. Okay, we want to accept the data. So what data we will get? We will actually get the post data, right? First we have to check if request dot method, if request dot method is equal to post. Okay, if request dot method is equal to post, then we want to simply return it for now, because if this is post, then this means we are going to generate the QR code, right? So a little bit more code will go inside this post request, but before we write that, this form, right? So this will be actually inside the else case. Okay, so we'll put the else here, and we'll send this inside the else block. Okay, if the request method is post, that means if somebody clicks on this, if somebody enter the restaurant name and menu URL and click on this, that means he is triggering the post request, right? So that will go here. All right, so what we will do inside this if condition, which is our, when we get the request method post. Okay, first of all, we want to accept the form post data. Let's say form is equal to QR code form. Okay, we are going to accept this form. So this form is now coming with the post data, right? So that will be inside this request dot post. Okay, request dot post. All the data which is coming from this form will be inside this request dot post. Now inside this request dot post, now we want to check if the form is valid or not, right? Whatever the form we are getting here, we want to first check if the form is valid or not. Okay, so the Django form will actually give us something called is valid. Okay, form dot is valid. So if the form is valid, then what we'll do, we'll actually take the form data, that is restaurant name is equal to form dot cleaned data. Okay, form dot clean data. So inside this clean data, we will have the, we will have this input data. Okay, so what is the input name? you can see here, right? Forms.py, the restaurant name, right? So the field name is restaurant name. Whatever restaurant name user is entering will be stored inside the res name. Similarly, we will say URL is equal to form.clean data, and this will be, I think, URL. Okay, URL. Now at this point, if you want to check print res name comma URL, then you will see this input data will be printed on the terminal. But of course, we are going to get the error because we are not returning any HTTP response here. Okay, we are just printing it, but for now, let's ignore the error, but just want to see test restaurant. I just want to make sure HTTPS google.com. Okay, we just want to make sure this data is properly coming to the backend or not. Let me click on this generate QR code, and of course, as expected, we got the error because we did not return any HTTP response. But the point is we want to see the input data. Okay, you can see this is our restaurant name and we got the google.com. Okay, now the data is coming to the backend. Perfect. Now let's move forward. All right, now that we got the input data in the backend, now we will actually take this input data and we will start generating the QR code. So to generate a QR code using Python, we have a package called QR code. Okay, you simply have to install that QR code package. Okay, let me take you to the Google and say Python QR code library. Okay, Python QR code library. So you will see this PyPy package. Okay, so this is the one, always go with the latest version, and this is the QR code library that we want to use. Okay, copy this and go here, stop the server, and pip install QR code. Okay, so with this QR code, we also want to install Pillow, because what this QR code library will do is it will take your URL and it will create a QR code for you, and it will also store it in a PNG format. So PNG is an image format, and whenever it comes to image in Python, we always have to use the package Pillow. Okay, so that's why we have to install another package, pip install Pillow. Okay, perfect. Now you can run the server again. Now we have the Pillow and the QR code installed. So using QR code is very easy. You can see this package here, usage is also there, and simply have to import this QR code, and after that this QR code will give you the inbuilt function called make. This make will take the input data, which is our maybe the Google Drive URL. Okay, so based on that it will create a QR code. Okay, let's see this in action. So now we have the restaurant name and URL. We'll say generate QR code, generate QR code. So first we have to import QR code. Okay, import QR code, and then we will say QR code dot make function. Okay, QR code dot make function. This make function will take the URL. Okay, so this is actually the input data. So we will store this inside a variable called QR. Okay, now if you print the QR, okay, if you print the QR like this, then you will see the object. Let me refresh. Okay, I will use this URL and I'll say test. Okay, I'm sorry, demo rest, and put this link here. And of course you can find this link in the description box. Okay, generate QR code, this is expected, and you see this QR code dot image dot pil dot fill image. Okay, so this is the object this QR code library will give. You can see somewhere here, yeah, you can see here QR code dot image dot fill image. So this is the QR code object. Okay, so now what we will do is we'll actually save this to a PNG format. Okay, so let's say qr.save, and we want to we want to give a file name, right? Maybe test qr.png. Okay, test qr.png, and of course this will be dynamic. Okay, because we are not going to use anything static here. Okay, so always go with the dynamic naming convention, but just want to show you how this will generate a QR code. So let's refresh and I'll say test restaurant and put the URL and generate QR. Okay, so don't worry about this error, I'll tell you how to fix that later. But this should create a testqr.png file. You can see in the root directory, right? You can see here testqr.png is created, and this is what the QR code is. Okay, if you have the iPhone, you can simply open your camera app and see this code, whether it will work or not. If you have Android phone, I think you will have some QR code reading apps. Okay, Android apps you will see, so you can use that to test it. Okay, but I will test it later, but not for now. Okay, so I'll simply close it. So as I said, I don't want this file name to be static. Okay, so I want this file name to be dynamic. Maybe we will do something like restaurant name.png or something. Okay, because this tool can generate any number of QR code for multiple restaurants, right? So that's why we will make it a little bit dynamic. Okay, so instead of directly saving it, what we'll do is we'll actually make the file name. Okay, we'll just make the file name, file underscore name is equal to rest name dot replace. Okay, okay, not rest name, it is a rest name, it is actually a restaurant name dot replace. What to replace? Because you see, sometimes you will enter something like this, Rathan restaurant, right? That's Rathan restaurant, but it is not a good idea to have a space in between the file name. We are actually constructing a file name, right? So that's why we want to replace all the spaces with the non-spaces. Okay, there is no space here. You can also use something like this underscore. Replace all these spaces with the underscore. Okay, and then make it lowercase. Okay, make it lowercase, and also add menu underscore menu dot png. Okay, so this will be our file name, and now we want to just do this qr dot save file name. Save it, and let's refresh. I will say Rathan restaurant. I'll copy this URL and I'll put it here, generate QR code, and let me see. Yeah, here you can see Rathan restaurant menu.png. Okay, so I got this URL created, and one more very important thing is to, once the QR code is generated, we want to show him the download button, right? So that's also very important, because we are seeing this QR code in the backend, right? We are a developer, we are actually seeing it in the backend, but on the front end, what is happening? We are getting the error, right? We have to handle all this, technical things, and it should be easy for people who are non-technical to easily download the QR code. Okay, so that's why we want to something like the QR code is generated or something, will nicely show the QR code, and then there will be one download button. The moment you click on the download button, the QR code will be downloaded in your system. Okay, we want to do something like that. Let's go ahead and build that. So once the file name is saved, or once the QR is saved, we will actually return to a new page. Okay, return render request, comma, we will call it as a QR result page. Okay, QR result.html. Okay, so inside the templates, we'll create that QR result.html. Okay, inside this templates. Okay, let's add one h1 tag here just to make sure whether it is working or not. QR result page. Let me quickly refresh it and just continue. And okay, perfect. When you submit the button, the user will be landed into this page, and in this page we are going to show him the QR code nicely, and there will be the download button. Perfect. And in order to follow this design, right, we will simply copy this generate QR code HTML file as it is. Simply copy this. There is one topic called base.html, but I'm not using that base.html in this project because there are only 2 pages, right? So if you want to know more about template inheritance and everything, right, so you can go to my channel and learn the other advanced courses where I have taught you like what is template inheritance and how to use these base.html and everything. Okay, so that you don't have to just copy this code as it is from one page to another. It's not a it is not a good thing. Okay, so I've just copied this copied everything, and here I have just put it inside the QR result.html. I want to remove this form. I don't want this form. Okay, and if I refresh, okay, I can't refresh. I'll actually say test, and I'll put I'm sorry, I'll put the URL. Okay, so you can see something is showing. We will get rid of this div also, this box also we don't want, but we got this new bar, right? That's a simple new bar. In the QR result.html, I will delete this too. Okay, QR code result. Okay, so in here I will first print the restaurant name. After that, I'll show you how to print the QR itself. Okay, so I'll create a div. I'll create a div, and for the class I will say container empty 5. Okay, so this is for margin top 5, and align items center, because whatever we are putting inside this div will be centered align, and the text will be centered. Okay, so the text I'm gonna say is h2. Inside the h2 tag, I want to print the restaurant name, whatever restaurant name he's putting here, right? So I want to print that this res name is here, right? So I will actually create a context dictionary here. Pass this restaurant name inside the context dictionary, and I will just use this context inside this QR result.html. Just pass this context here. So when you pass this context to the HTML, you'll have the access to this restaurant name here. I will print the restaurant name, res name. Perfect. Let's see if we can see that or not. Let's say Ratan restaurant. I'll copy this. I'll put this menu URL, generate QR, and I can see the Ratan restaurant here. Under this Ratan restaurant, I want to print the image. Now, when it comes to printing the image on the web page, there is a topic called media files. Okay, in Django, there is something called media files. The media files we use to store the user generated images and programmatically generated images. Now this one is the image that was generated programmatically, right? So we want to store that inside the media file so that we can access it and show it on the web page. So in order for media files to work, we have to configure the media files in Django. Okay, if you don't know anything about media files, I will leave a link in the I button or the description. See it. Okay, you can just watch it. I have actually explained everything about media files and what are the users and how to configure them. But in this video, I'm actually going to just configure as if media files. Okay, so I will go back to my settings.py, where I have to do some configuration for the media files. Okay, so first thing I will have to say media root. Okay, media root is equal to os dot. Again, if you don't know media files, make sure you watch the media files video in the description. Okay, after that you will understand this better. So first of all, I have to import the OS. Okay, import OS, and after that I'll just say media root is equal to os dot path dot join. Os dot path dot join base directory comma, okay, base directory comma media. Okay, so when we have this setting, we first have to create a new okay, not new file, new folder. Okay, media, just create a new folder with the name media. Okay, so that is what we are referring here. This media root will be our media folder. Okay, whatever files that we are generating, right, whatever QR code that we are going to generate, right, those generated QR code, those files will be stored inside the media directory. Okay, and media URL, okay, media URL is equal to /media media /. Okay, so this is the configuration for media files in settings.py, and also we have to go to Django_dr and go to the urls.py. First thing we have to say is from django.conf import settings. Also from django.conf.urls.static import static. Okay, these two things you have to import, and here you have to say concatenate this URL, say static settings, oh I'm sorry, settings dot media URL comma document root is equal to settings dot media root. Okay, so this can be confusing, that's why I said just watch this media file configuration video, you will understand this better. All right, save this file. Now our media file configuration is done. We'll go back to the views.py. So here, so far we were storing the QR code inside the root directory, right? Now that we have configured the media files, we will store this file or the QR code inside this media directory. Okay, so that's why we will configure, we'll make the file path that is equal to os.path.join. First thing you have to import OS, and also from django.conf import settings. You have to import these two things. File path we are making, right? os.path.join will say settings dot media root. Okay, media root comma the file name, right? We want to say file name. Okay, what is the media root here? This is the one, right? This is the one. This media folder is our project's media root, right? To this media folder we are joining this file name. Okay, we are joining file name, something like this. Okay, media / Ratan restaurant menu.png, something like this. Okay, so that's why we can, this way we can access this file and show it on the page. Otherwise Django will not allow us to print the image. Okay, so it must come from media folder. That's why we do all these configuration, media things. Okay, so once this is done, we don't want to now save this pass the file name to this save function. We will instead pass this the file path itself. Okay, so now let's save this and let's refresh, and let's say Ratan I'll say RK, and file name this one, paste. Okay, generate, and let's see if that got generated inside the media folder. Yeah, you can see here the media, this time the file got generated inside the media folder. Now we are good to print this QR code on the web page. If the files are here on the root directory, Django will not allow us to print on the web page, right? Now our goal is to print the QR code on the page. That's why we did all these media files configuration and file path and everything, right? So now we are good to print the QR code on the page. Okay, as you know, how do we print the images, right? We have something called img tag, right? Inside the img tag, we use a src attribute. In the src attribute, what we do, we pass the image URL, right? So the image URL we want to generate now. This one is actually the image path, but it's not the image URL, right? So that's why what we need to do, we have to create a image. Maybe we'll have to say, okay, image URL. Okay, create image URL. Create image URL. So I'll say QR URL. Okay, image URL or QR code URL. os.path.join. os.path.join. Settings.media underscore URL. You see, I used media root here for storing the file inside the media folder. Now I am preparing the media URL. Okay, so we create the media URL like this, settings.media URL, comma, file path. Oh, settings.media URL, comma, file name, comma, file name. Now, if you print this media URL, okay, QR URL, save it. So let's try again. I'll refresh this and I'll say RK restaurant, and I will just copy this and put it here, generate QR, and you can see media URL is printing. Okay, so the media URL is nothing but /media/RK restaurant.png. Okay, so you see I have written it like this, but don't get confused. This will have, this will be like this. Okay, so because this QR URL is not same as the file path. Okay, if you want to print the file path, okay, file path, so the file path will actually come with your storage path also. Okay, so for example, your local storage path or your server path. Just don't get confused. I will simply again say RK restaurant, and I'll copy, I'll put it here, QR code, and you see the difference here, right? This is the file path. It is coming from my local storage. Okay, this is actually the server path, you can say. So this is the whole thing, but this one media URL is actually coming from your media / this one, this PNG image. Okay, so that's the difference. I'll quickly get rid of this. Also, I will delete this. So now that I have this QR URL, I will pass it here. QR URL colon QR URL. Okay, so this one is enough for us to print the QR code image. Okay, I will say image tag. So the alt, you can say QR code, but this src is important. Just pass this here. Okay, oh, I'm sorry, it is QR URL. Okay, save it and let's refresh. Okay, continue. Okay, you can see this is actually properly printing. Okay, so this is actually your unique QR code for your menu. Now I will quickly add one style attribute, a border, 1 pixel solid, and 0000000. Okay, let's refresh, continue. Okay, now we have printed this QR code on the web page, and now I want to put a button, download QR code button, and the moment I click on it, this QR code should be downloaded to your local system. Okay, so let's quickly do it. go to your QR result.html, and I'll simply open a div. Okay, so inside this div, I will open a tag, and in the a tag, I'll say download QR code. Okay, download QR code, and the class I will say btn space btn primary. Okay, btn space btn primary, and let's refresh. Okay, let's refresh. Okay, so this is actually too close. I will just add MT3 or something. Otherwise, so what I'll do is I'll actually here I'll say, I'll just add MT3. Okay, MT3. Okay. So now we want to click on this download QR code button. This image or this QR code should be downloaded in your system. All right. So let's go here, and here in the href, we want to put the QR URL. Okay, we want to put the QR URL. Okay, also we want to say download. Okay, download is the HTML attribute, and in this download attribute, we want to actually give the file name. Okay, so where is our file name? Here you can see the file name, right? So this file name we will put here, colon, just save it, and here we'll simply say file name like this. All right, so I'll simply add br one, we'll add one thank you message. We'll just open a small tag and say thank you for using our QR code generator tool. All right, so let's go back here. Okay, go back to the home page, and I'll say Ratan restaurant. Okay, Ratan restaurant, and I will say, just copy it and paste it inside the menu URL and click on generate. Okay, now you can see Ratan restaurant is printed and this one is printed. Thank you for using QR code generator. And now we want to click on this button, right? Let me click on this, and you can see here the file got downloaded. Okay, this is the QR code. Okay, so I did not check it right in front of you. I just, I'll take my phone. So I'm actually scanning this code, and let's see. Yeah, you can see here, this is, taking me to the Google Drive and properly showing the food menu. Okay, of course, this is a, demo food menu. Okay, so our QR code is working properly. All right, so that's about the QR code tool using Python and Django. And if you want to learn more about how to build these real world examples and software tools, you can go to my ratank.com/all courses. Okay, you can simply go to ratank.com, and in the courses there are a lot of, you can also find free courses as well as premium courses also there. Like if you are interested in learning some advanced projects, you can take a look at these courses. Okay, for example, this one, this automate the boring stuff with Django, right? So this course has, like 5 difficult, software tools. So you will be like expert if you learn this. Okay, and also there are, machine learning courses and all. So many things are there. Like if you are interested, you can just have a look at this website, ratank.com. This is my main website. Okay, and all right, so that's about this video, and thank you so much for being with me throughout this, this whole video. So please make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more such content. Okay, so thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.